Thursday night. After 20 years of marriage, my 39-year-old, attractive wife, mother of our 2 girls and the love of my life, dropped a bombshell on me. She told me she was going out on a date with a colleague from work the next night. Sarah and I were teenagers when we got married. We'd been together less than a year when she got pregnant with our daughter. We were crazy about each other, got married, and 7 months later, we welcomed Emily into our lives. Our marriage was filled with love, and we had 2 wonderful kids who adored both of us. I built my landscaping business from scratch, and it grew into a multi-million-dollar enterprise, giving us a comfortable and satisfying life. Never in a million years did I expect to hear something like that from her. It hit me like a ton of bricks as I sat on the couch with a glass of scotch while she told me that since the kids went off to university, she had been feeling depressed and unhappy. I thought we had the perfect marriage, so this news was a heavy blow. Sarah revealed that Ryan from accounting had been a close friend who had helped her through her depression, which was news to me. It was odd because she had never mentioned being depressed or even upset. The idea of my wife relying on another man to help her with her emotions was painful, but the fact that she wanted to be with him was devastating. Apparently, Ryan is married with 3 young daughters and is pretending to be some kind of counselor, when in reality, he's just a predator preying on vulnerable, married women. He sees them as easy targets because he knows they're susceptible and detached. Sarah said, "Michael, I can't keep this from you. I hope you understand, but I need to do this for myself. It might sound selfish, but just give me one night to see how it goes." I was furious and wanted to scream, but I knew how Sarah was. Once she made up her mind about something, there was no changing it. As she finished her announcement, I sat there with a blank expression, staring at her while she nervously sat across from me on the small sofa. The silence was unbearable as I refused to say a word. Instead, I calmly finished my scotch, stood up, and walked out of the room. Sarah followed me, pleading, "Michael, don't ignore me. Stop sulking. This is happening, and I had to tell you before anything happened. I would never cheat on you, and I need you to know everything. We've always been honest with each other." I looked at her, and she must have seen the rage on my face because she pulled her knees up to her chest and curled into a small ball. I went to our bedroom, packed enough clothes and toiletries for 2 days, and walked past Sarah to my car in the garage, not saying a word. She followed me, begging, "Please, Michael, don't go. It'll be okay. It's just one date, one night. After 20 years, surely you can give me that." I shook my head, unable to believe what I was hearing. That Thursday night, I checked into the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Yes, the Ritz-Carlton. $400 a night, and I didn't care. If I was going to suffer, I was at least going to do it in comfort. The calls and texts from Sarah started right away, but I sent one response and then blocked her number. I told her I wouldn't be in touch until I returned home on Saturday after her betrayal. I'm sure that message hurt her. The next day at work, I had my secretary block all calls from my wife and instructed security not to let her into the building. I had my plan set and wasn't about to change it. I'm Michael Thompson, a man of action. People know me as reliable, someone who follows through, both at work and among friends. At home, I was the easygoing, accommodating guy who kept my macho side in check. It worked for 20 years, but I realize now I should have been more assertive and less complacent. But I loved my wife and treated her like a queen. I remember laughing at a quote once that now hits too close to home: "Treat her like a queen, and she'll treat you like a servant." Those words have become my reality, but I refuse to accept it. On Friday morning, I called my brother, a detective in Miami, and asked him for help. I told him what I needed, and he called James Foster, one of his colleagues who works as a private investigator. "James, this is Sergeant Walker. How are you, my friend? I need a favor. My brother needs your help tonight. Can you send someone to follow his wife and get all the information on this guy by Saturday morning? Run his numbers, get his address and phone number, and text them to me tonight." We also need pictures of them together if possible. It's urgent, but I owe you one, so I'll make it up to you. You need the perp's phone number and address tonight, and as soon as possible. We can dig up the rest of the photos and details tomorrow. What can you work with right now? Yeah, that's what we need. I'll send over the wife's address, the time she's leaving, and her date's name. I've been told he works at Brokers Unlimited and his name is Ryan, so you should be able to track him down easily. His wife gets home at 5 p.m., but we don't know when the date starts, so you'll need someone to leave the house before 5 p.m. to follow his wife when he picks her up. That's all we need for now. Send me the wife's address, and I'll handle the rest. Michael listened intently and smiled as his brother hung up. His plan was falling into place, and he was ready to confront his unfaithful wife. The situation required immediate action since time was of the essence. While Sarah and Ryan were out for dinner, Michael planned to visit Ryan's wife to explain what was happening and where their spouses were at that moment. Next, Michael called one of his old friends, Nick, to get the contact information for an escort service he used. Nick was going through a rough divorce and had no intention of marrying again, relying on an escort to meet his needs. Michael now understood why: no cheating, just sex, and likely cheaper than dealing with an unfaithful wife. The call went smoothly, and Michael arranged a night out with a young, attractive blonde. He added a $1,000 tip due to the unusual circumstances. Michael explained that he wanted a girlfriend experience, where the escort would act as though she'd been his loving partner for a long time. He made it clear that there should be no trouble, and if his wife happened to show up, the girl should not reveal that she was an escort but act as if she were someone he met that night. Michael anticipated that his wife would come and see them together. If she wanted a date with another man, he was prepared to reciprocate, but with a touch of sophistication. They planned to meet at a hotel, have a drink, and get to know each other before the fun began. Sarah, running her real estate business, had an open house every Saturday and never got home before 6 p.m. This Saturday was no exception. Flashing back to Thursday night, after Sarah declared her independence, she sat on the couch reflecting on their conversation, angrily addressing the empty room. I can't believe he acted so childish. The way he left without saying a word, what a jerk. Sarah tried calling and texting Michael, growing increasingly frustrated when he didn't respond until a single text message came through. That message, mentioning betrayal, made her cringe and reconsider her plans. She had viewed the date as just a fun night out, not cheating, and pushed thoughts of betrayal aside. She thought to herself, it's just one fun night. Michael will get over it, and we'll be back to normal. He's overreacting, but he'll forgive me, and I'll make it up to him tomorrow night. He can't say no to me, and I know exactly how to make it right. Friday night, Sarah returned to an empty house and reconsidered her plans. Should she go out with Ryan or cancel and ask Michael to come back? Eager for a fun evening, she decided to go ahead with her plans. She took a warm bath, shaved her legs, applied a luxurious lotion, and sat at her makeup table, transforming her appearance into a sultry vision. She admired the sexy woman in the mirror and smiled as she finished styling her long hair. She took the tags off her short, sexy dress and hung it on the mirror. She pulled on stockings she had never worn for Michael and attached them to a new garter belt she had bought earlier that day. As she adjusted the stockings, she remembered all the times Michael had asked her to dress up sexy. A pang of guilt struck her as she recalled Valentine's Day when Michael had given her sexy lingerie from Victoria's Secret and how she had reacted, questioning if he thought she was a slut and refusing to wear it. She stood still for a minute, contemplating how she had bought herself these provocative stockings for another man. The guilt didn't linger long. She quickly dismissed it and focused on her plans. She slipped into the silk dress, zipped it up, and was pleased with her decision to go without a bra. The result was stunning. She stood before the full-length mirror, admiring her long legs in black stockings and high heels. Her ample breasts jiggled beneath the dress, and her prominent nipples pressed against the thin fabric. Oh my God, I look like a little slut, but this is so much fun, she thought. I can't wait to see Ryan's reaction. But I should be clear, no sex tonight, just dinner and dancing. Sarah tried to convince herself that tonight's date with Ryan was just that, a date, and nothing more. But deep down, she knew she was battling some strong urges. The excitement about the evening had consumed her thoughts for the past month, and tonight was finally going to happen. Despite Michael's seemingly childish behavior, she was determined to enjoy herself. Sarah was certain Michael would understand and let her have this night because he always allowed her to do as she pleased. She loved him for that. Then, Michael's final phone call came in. He was giving Sarah one last chance to stop this runaway train and salvage their marriage. It was difficult for Michael to swallow his pride and make this call, but his love for Sarah remained strong. He was prepared to compromise his dignity, humiliate himself, and plead with her to reconsider and cancel the date. Sarah felt a twinge of nervousness and guilt when she saw Michael's name on her phone. She had just admired how sexy she looked in the mirror and knew her intentions were far from innocent. Yet, she really needed to hear from Michael, to make him understand and accept her decision. Michael, thank you for calling. I miss you so much and love you so much. When are you coming home, baby? Sarah said, her voice tinged with a mix of guilt and desperation. Hi, Sarah. I love you too, and that's why I'm calling. I miss you so much, and my heart is breaking because of what you're planning. I'm begging you, don't go on this date. Please stay home, and I'll come to do whatever you want. I promise I'll make you happy and be the man you want me to be. If I'm falling short somewhere, I can fix it. I just want to be with you. Can you please cancel this date and save our marriage? Michael pleaded, his voice breaking with emotion. Hearing the tremor in Michael's voice, Sarah felt a pang of pity. It sounded weak and pitiful, which gave her an undeserved sense of power. She knew he loved her deeply and that Michael would forgive her if he understood her feelings. Their shared history, their children, and his love felt so strong, she was sure they would be together forever. Oh, Michael, I love you so much, and I can't wait to spend the rest of our lives together. I need to do this tonight, and it's not about our love for each other. It's just one night for me to go out and do something impulsive. Please understand and give me this chance, and I promise I will be yours again forever. I know you're hurting, and I'm sorry for that, but you're making too much of this. It's just dinner and a few drinks with a friend. Nothing will happen, and I'll be home tomorrow, ready to be your wife again. I love you, Michael, but I have to go, she said, tears welling in her eyes. Sarah wanted to hang up but heard Michael's desperate pleas as she ended the call. She wiped her tears, trying not to smudge her makeup, looked at herself in the mirror, and turned back to her reflection. I'm sure he thinks I'm being a bitch about this, but Michael, I'm sorry. I have to do this for me. Please don't be angry. She fixed her hair, adjusted her lips, spritzed on some perfume, and tried to push Michael out of her mind. Back in his hotel room, Michael stared at his phone after the call ended. The anger inside him flared up again. He had just begged his wife not to go on this date, and she had essentially told him this was happening, promising everything would be fine tomorrow. Grief overwhelmed him as he realized he had lost her, the only woman he had loved and been close to for the past 20 years. Meanwhile, James, the private investigator, was parked in his white van across the street from Michael and Sarah's home, observing as Sarah pulled into the garage shortly before 5 p.m. An hour later, he saw a car pull into the driveway. James recorded the license plate number, made a few calls, and 10 minutes later sent Walker and Michael the information they had requested. The home phone number and address were delivered to Walker and Michael's phones before the couple had even left. When Ryan entered the house, he noticed the sadness in Sarah's eyes. He realized she was feeling insecure and guilty about the situation, a common reaction from wives suddenly questioning their actions. Knowing he had to act fast, Ryan employed his skills to manipulate her. He liked a challenge and was determined to use his experience to change her mind. It's okay, Sarah. We don't have to go through with this. I completely understand. You can't go out with someone alone, even just for dinner or a movie. Your husband wants to protect you from predators, but if he only knew how much I care about you as a friend, he might feel differently. I'm disappointed we can't be together tonight, but I understand, Ryan said, offering comfort and reassurance. I was really looking forward to spending time with you and trying out that new restaurant. I've got an idea. How about we just grab dinner together, and then I'll drop you off at home. I'm sure you won't mind if you hang out with a friend for a while. His nonchalant attitude made Sarah feel reassured that having dinner was perfectly fine. Besides, she was already dressed up and, deep down, she was eager for the outing. At 7 p.m., James watched as the couple drove off towards a downtown restaurant. He promptly informed Walker and Michael of their location and continued to update them throughout the evening. Taking photos was easy, and James spent the next 4 hours capturing every moment of their dinner. He snapped shots of them holding hands as they entered a dance club, dancing, kissing, and acting like a loving couple. He even recorded videos of them slow dancing, where Ryan's hand wandered over Sarah's backside, caressed her breasts, and shared intimate kisses on the dance floor. James sent all the photos and videos before sunrise the next morning. At exactly 8 p.m., Michael made the call to Sarah's father, David. They had been close friends and golf buddies for years. Michael broke the bad news with a heavy heart. "Hi, David, it's Michael." "Hi, Michael. Are we still on for golf this Sunday?" "I'm not sure. I've got some bad news." "Hi, David. It's Michael." "Yes, Michael. What's going on?" "At the moment, your daughter is out on a date with a coworker. I thought things were fine between us, but she told me she needed more and started seeing this guy. You know I care about you and Linda, but I can't overlook this. I consider our marriage over. She's breached our prenup, and that's something I can't forgive. I wanted you to understand the reasons behind what's coming. I'm sorry it had to end this way." "Michael, are you saying she's with someone else? Are you certain? This doesn't sound like her." "David, I've hired a private investigator who's currently watching them. While we're talking, she's out with that guy. She's betraying me, our marriage, and our kids right now. I'm sorry, this is tough for me, but I respect you and wanted you to know the truth. I'm so sorry, Michael. Please don't do anything rash. I know she loves you, and maybe there's a chance to work things out. I'm sorry, David. I'm done. I'll call you soon. Maybe you two can figure it out. Let's plan for next Sunday. It sounds like it's going to be a rough weekend." After getting the address of the traitor from the investigator, Michael drove 20 minutes to Ryan's house to meet his wife, Lydia. She looked puzzled when Michael asked if she was Mrs. Carter, Ryan's wife. The 30-year-old mother of three answered the door wearing tight jeans and a lacy top that accentuated her well-endowed figure. Michael forced himself to maintain eye contact, trying to stay composed. "Are you Mrs. Carter, Ryan's wife?" "Yes, is everything okay with him?" "He's fine, trust me. He works with my wife. May I come in for a moment?" They sat in the living room while Michael delivered the distressing news. "Mrs. Carter, I'm sorry to say this, but right now, your husband Ryan and my soon-to-be ex-wife are on a date." "Yes, my wife told me just yesterday she needed more and that Ryan had been so generous that she felt compelled to repay him. Are you sure this is the right person?" "My Ryan usually plays cards on Friday nights." "Mrs. Carter, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't certain. My private investigator is watching them as we speak. I have photos and videos to show you, but I wanted you to be aware of the situation. I felt terrible leaving her in tears, knowing that this affair might ruin their marriage. But that's the choice Ryan made. Saturday morning arrived. Michael poured himself a cup of the hotel's specialty coffee, savoring its pleasant aroma as he relaxed in his comfy bed. However, the comfort quickly turned to disgust and bitterness when he opened the pictures from the private investigator on his phone. The only silver lining was that Sarah had returned home by 1 a.m., and there hadn't been any sexual activity that night. Michael's rage surged as he reviewed the images of his wife's betrayal. Tears welled up as he watched the video of their kisses and Ryan's hand on Sarah's backside. The sight shattered any hope of reconciliation he had left. He also noticed Sarah's stockings, a gift he had given her months ago, and remembered her indifferent reaction to it. Her betrayal and disregard were unbearable, overwhelming him with a mix of humiliation and inferiority, which eventually morphed into anger. Apparently, Ryan had convinced Sarah to extend their evening beyond dinner and visit his favorite dance club. This choice marked the downfall of her marriage, and deep down, she had known it was wrong but went along with it anyway, wanting to experience it just this once. With tears in his eyes, Michael felt a sadness unlike anything he had ever known. He had shed tears when his mother passed away and mourned for friends who were no longer around, but this pain was something he had never imagined. As he replayed the video for the third time, pausing at the moment when Ryan was groping her and showing off her stockings, he shouted out into the empty room, "You're going to pay for this." He pondered over it, realizing that while she hadn't slept with Ryan, her actions were still unforgivable, disrespectful, and a complete betrayal of their marriage. On Saturday afternoon, Michael met Candy at the hotel at 2 p.m. They spent the next 2 hours getting acquainted. Michael had been clear about what he wanted, and Candy seemed like the perfect fit for his plans. They arrived back at his house just after 4 p.m., and by 5 p.m., they were in bed together. Before joining her, Michael placed a note he had written for Sarah on the front door. It read, "Sarah, last night you broke our marriage contract and wedding vows, not to mention my heart. Since you broke that contract, I no longer consider us married. Yes, legally we're still bound, but the contract is over, and now we're both free to do as we please. I plan to take the master bedroom as this is my home. You're welcome to use any other room in the house, but my bed is no longer yours. Your clothes and belongings are in the guest rooms. Please respect my personal space. You got your freedom, and now I have mine. I hope you're happy with your decision and your new life. Love, your ex-husband Michael." He removed his wedding ring and placed it on top of the letter, then took one of his collector knives and cut through the ring and the letter before stabbing the knife into the wooden door. It was the first thing Sarah would see when she got home that evening, at 6:10 p.m. When Sarah returned from work, she was unsettled by the sight of the knife in the door. It was a chilling image that would give anyone the creeps. She cautiously approached the door, scanning for anything else out of place. As she drew closer, she saw the note addressed to her, accompanied by Michael's engagement ring. Her heart raced, and tears streamed down her face as she read the letter. Clutching the ring and letter, she rushed into the house, desperately calling for Michael, her sobs echoing through the darkened hallway. The house was eerily quiet, except for some muffled noises coming from the bedroom. She ascended the stairs, listening at the door for sounds of activity. Anger and disbelief overtook her as she opened the door to find a young, attractive woman riding her husband, her large breasts bouncing with each movement. In stunned silence, Sarah watched the scene unfold. Furious, she screamed at her husband, "How could you, you bastard?" Then she fled the house, tears and rage driving her to her car. She sped over to her sister Lisa's house. Once there, after she had calmed down a bit, she recounted everything to Lisa, how she had caught her husband in bed with another woman and had nowhere else to turn. Her sister tried to comfort her. "This isn't like Michael at all. Of all people, I never thought he'd cheat on you. He's always shown you so much love and respect, more than any other man I know. I was always envious of how he treated you. This isn't like him. Has anything else happened? What do you think caused this, Sarah?" Sobbing quietly, Sarah responded, I don't know. Maybe it's because I went out on a date last night. That's the only thing I can think of that might have set this off. You went on a date? With whom? Just a guy from work. It was nothing sexual, just dinner and a little dancing. Seriously? You went out with another man, had dinner, and danced, leaving your husband alone? Is that right? Well, yes, but you're making it sound worse than it was. Are you out of your mind? Do you really think Michael would be okay with you going out with someone else? I told him it was just a night out and nothing to do with sex, just some fun. Sarah, you've really messed up. You might have lost your husband and ruined your marriage due to your selfishness and stupidity. You can stay here tonight, but tomorrow you need to go back and try to fix things. I'll call him and ask if you can speak to him, but I can't promise it'll make any difference. Prepare yourself for the worst. I know if my husband were in Michael's shoes, he'd be furious, and Michael is even more determined than Tom. Sarah spent the night alone in Lisa's guest room, crying until early morning and barely sleeping. Lisa texted Michael, asking him to call her back as soon as possible. Michael had always liked Lisa, so he knew why she was reaching out and called her back. Hi, Lisa. How's it going? Hi, Michael. My sister is here, and she's told me everything about what happened at your house tonight. I don't blame you at all. I must say, you got your revenge pretty swiftly. Michael chuckled briefly. Yeah, you know me, Lisa. I don't put up with nonsense, I told Lisa firmly. I know Michael. Look, I get that Sarah messed up, but she's a wreck right now. I can't just cast her aside like that. You two need to have a conversation tomorrow. I'm not sure if you're really going to kick her out, and honestly, I wouldn't blame you if you did. But if she hasn't slept with this guy yet, maybe you should consider working things out. Maybe some counseling or even shock therapy for her damaged brain might help. Either way, please let her come back and talk tomorrow. Lisa, of course she can come back. It's still her house, and I didn't kick her out. She just won't be sharing my bed while she's here. I'm no longer upset or angry. My anger has turned into deep resentment over her betrayal. I'll let her talk, but I can't make any promises about the future. Right now, I hate her as much as I once loved her. My emotions are controlled by pain, and it would take a miracle for me to want her back. You're the smartest one in the family, Lisa. I can't believe my sister thought you'd be okay with her dating someone else. What a fool. Be patient and remember that she loves you. I hope she didn't go too far with that idiot. Goodbye, Lisa. Let her come home when she's ready. Bye, Michael. You're my favorite son-in-law, you know that? I know I love you. Goodbye, Lisa. Sunday afternoon rolled around. I came back from the gym and saw Sarah's car parked in the driveway. She was sitting at the kitchen table, trying to put on a brave face. You know we're not getting a divorce, she said with a strained smile. We can work this out because we love each other. I stayed silent, picked up my coffee cup, and sat across from her. Sarah nervously fidgeted with her hands in her lap. After a few sips of coffee, I finally broke the silence. Sarah, I'm okay with whatever happens. Divorce or not, it doesn't matter to me anymore. You broke our prenup, so as far as I'm concerned, the marriage is over. I no longer see us as a couple, and you're free to be with whoever you want, just like I am. The only change is that you won't be sleeping in my bed, and we won't be sexually involved. That ended the night you went out with your date. Michael, he's not my boyfriend, and nothing happened. Sarah, you went out with a man who isn't your husband. You dressed provocatively, had dinner, held hands, let him touch you, kissed him, and spent time with him. To you, it might seem like nothing, but to me, it's everything. That's what ended our marriage. So, if you want no divorce, then fine, we won't get one. But don't expect me to be with you again. No, I don't want a divorce. Give us time, and I'll be back in your bed. So, are you done seeing that little slut you were with? I'm not putting up with this. I started laughing and said, now that's funny. You broke our prenup, not me. You ended our marriage the moment you agreed to go out with your date. You set me free the moment you left with him. I'm not stopping my time with Candy. She's young, sexy, fun, and a fantastic lover. Honestly, it's the best sex I've ever had. We did things you never offered me, and now I know what I was missing. Why would I give that up? If you don't know this already, Sarah, while you were out with your date, I paid a visit to his lovely wife, Lydia. Did you know they have 3 beautiful children? Never mind, I'm sure you didn't consider that while you were with your lover. Anyway, she told me something interesting about Mr. Nice Guy. You're the 3rd woman Lydia has caught him with in the past year. She also mentioned that Rebecca Martin from your office was the last woman he cheated with, which led to her divorce. Ryan has a long history, but Lydia says he's done. She believes that once a cheater, always a cheater. I think you're in that category now. I think you could have found a better lover to cheat with, but I wouldn't know. Sounds like you and Ryan managed to ruin 2 families with 5 kids. Great job. Sarah looked shocked as she processed the news. The realization that her lover was just another unfaithful man hit her hard. Her anger at herself was palpable, and learning about Ryan's history left her horrified. She lost control, her frustration boiling over. Michael, he's not my boyfriend. You have to stop saying that. I can't believe you went to her house and told her he was cheating. My God, it was just dinner. You're really cruel and hurtful. And what about you? I countered. Having another woman in my house is inexcusable. This has to stop. It was just dinner. Have you forgotten about the dirty dancing, kissing, and touching at the club? I promised Lydia copies of all the photos and videos, so she'll have evidence when Ryan tries to downplay it. I know you think it's not cheating, but in the real world, it's exactly that. Betraying your marriage by being with someone else is cheating. When are you going to understand that? So, you think I'm cruel and hurtful? I'm curious, how do you define what you've been doing? Loving and caring? No, I'm not giving up my time with Candy. If you can't handle that, you don't have to stay. No, Michael, I want you to stop seeing her and be with me. I promise I won't see anyone else. Oh, you promise? Funny how your promise to be my wife and forsake all others turned out to be worthless. Sarah, if you don't like our arrangement, you're free to leave or get a divorce. Maybe you can move in with your lover since he'll need a new place to stay too. You two deserve each other. Well, you could stay here or maybe move in with your sister Lisa, I said coldly. I'm sure she'd be thrilled to have you there. You'd be a great role model for her girls. Michael, are you going to stop seeing that woman? Don't you love me? Don't you want us to be together again? Sarah, it's too late for that. The moment you told me you wanted to be with another man, you destroyed everything. Do I still love you? Yes, but my trust is shattered. How can I trust and love someone who so easily walked away from our marriage? No real man would tolerate his wife being with someone else, but you went ahead and did it anyway. You made it clear you were going to be with another man, regardless of my feelings. Now you need to face the consequences of your actions. I want to be with Candy, a young, sexy woman who offers me things I never knew I was missing. Seeing me with her must be hard for you, but now you know some of my pain. Payback can be harsh, but you brought this on yourself. As for divorce, that's your decision. We can live together as housemates and see how things go, or you can agree to the divorce, and I'll have the papers ready in a week. Your words mean nothing to me right now, I said firmly. Sarah understood the gravity of my tone and knew not to push me further. For the next month, I brought Candy home every weekend. We were together in bed multiple times a day, and it was exhilarating. She made me feel good about myself and helped me regain the confidence that Sarah's betrayal had eroded. Sarah hated the weekends and begged me to stop seeing Candy, but I didn't relent. Sarah would leave as soon as Candy and I arrived on Saturday night and wouldn't return until Candy was gone. I had Sarah text me after Candy left. I must admit, part of me enjoyed the revenge and the pain it inflicted on Sarah. But as time passed, I started to feel guilty. The excitement with Candy was purely physical, and the cost was becoming too much. After Sarah came back on Sunday night, I told her I wouldn't be seeing Candy for a while and that I was looking for someone else to be with. Sarah begged me to take her back and stop seeing other women. "Michael, you've punished me enough. Every week, I had to watch another woman come into our home and be with the man I love. The pain is unbearable, and I can't stand seeing you with someone else. Please, give me another chance. I know I can't compete with a girl like that, but I can give you love and everything no one else can." Her plea took me by surprise. "Love?" I asked, incredulous. "Do you even know what love is? Love isn't about turning your back on your spouse and dating other men. You broke that promise the moment you decided to be with someone else. So, no, I don't think you understand love, and you can't give away what you don't truly possess. But here's what I'll do. I won't date anyone else until we have counseling. If we can work things out, maybe there's a future for us." Sarah leaped off the couch, hugging and kissing me fervently. "Thank you, baby. I promise I'll make it up to you." "Not so fast," I warned. "I'm not forgiving you yet. I'm just giving us one last chance before I make a final decision about your cheating." "Michael, don't say that. You love me, and I know we'll always be together. Can I sleep with you tonight, please?" she asked, kissing me. "No, not yet. I can still see the images of you with that other man in my head. The memory of you kissing him and letting him touch you haunts me constantly. I'm still furious at you for hurting me and wrecking our marriage. You're lucky our children don't know about this, otherwise, I wonder what they'd think of their mother. I'm still angry, and we'll take our time with counseling. I've made an appointment with Dr. Reynolds for Tuesday, and we'll start the painful process of reliving all this twice a week for the next 3 months. It's the same therapy you read about in stories, just as painful and tedious." I had to revisit the affair and listen to endless discussions. Life would have been much simpler if you had stayed true to our vows, but I suppose that was too much to ask. After 3 months of counseling, we made some progress. Sarah realized the extent of the pain she caused and understood my reaction. She complained about the revenge sex, but I reminded her that she had broken our prenup, giving me a free pass to do as I pleased. She eventually accepted that, though she was still unhappy. The counselor gave me a hard time about my revenge, but I didn't care. I would do it again if I had to. I let Sarah back into the house with a postnuptial agreement. She agreed to forfeit everything if she had any extramarital affairs. She accepted a GPS tracker on her phone, allowed me access to her email and text messages, and promised complete honesty with no cheating. I made it clear that any infidelity, emotional or physical, would result in her being kicked out. She promised never to let another man flirt with her and to remain faithful. Even though Sarah was determined to prove her love and commitment, I couldn't shake Lydia's words from my mind: once a cheater, always a cheater. A year later, things were somewhat back to normal, but I kept a closer watch on Sarah, knowing the possibility of it happening again. Her sister Lisa and I worked together to make sure Sarah stayed on track. Ryan's divorce had cost him dearly. His wife had kicked him out, took the house, and received alimony and child support for their 3 kids. Ryan was now living in a small studio apartment, broke after paying for his infidelity. Ironically, he lost everything for a few dinners, dances, and kisses. What a fool. Sarah was mortified when she learned about Ryan's previous affairs and how he had caused Laura's divorce. She realized how close she came to ruining her life and family's love. Determined never to repeat her mistakes, she committed to proving her love to me and our children. Despite her efforts, the image of that young woman with her husband haunted her, and she vowed never to let him stray again. Ryan's story was a cautionary tale about the cost of infidelity. 2 years after his divorce from Laura, Eric, an unwilling cuckold, confronted Ryan outside a pub. Hours later, Ryan was found unconscious on the sidewalk, with broken arms, a broken rib, and punctured testicles. Time will tell if Ryan ever learns his lesson. As the saying goes, not one scar on my heart came from an enemy. They came from people who said they loved me.